source detected.
What's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you guys need to be. So we're just finishing up this latest season's manhunts, which this time around they've changed them to essentially hostage rescues. So it's basically still the same thing, a little bit different as far as the unlocking. You know, we seem to be doing a control point, bounty, control point, bounty, and then you get to unlock the thing. It's fun. But one of my buddies brought something up, and he had pointed out that I actually have not in years done my actual Dark Zone builds, any of my Dark Zone builds. Essentially, I have one primary build that I use for the Dark Zone, and it's my Lee Harvey Oswald sniper build. I know there's a ton of different builds that can be used and stuff. A lot of time I'm going in, I'm solo, I don't have anybody else with me, so I need something that can one-shot agents. So, without further ado, I want to go ahead and show you guys this build, and in the background you can see we are actually using it in PvE gameplay for this final manhunt hostage rescue mission. It's not amazing, simply because there are better builds to use in PvE like this, but as you guys can see in the background gameplay, it is absolutely effective. Before getting into this, do me a favor. If you guys learn anything new or find this entertaining, a like would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this video, I will have earned you guys a subscription if I don't already have it. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. Anything else you guys want to see or anything you would do differently pertaining to this build, please leave a comment down below. All right, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we need to do is talk about the specialization. We are going to be using the Technician. This will give us access to Amped for the +1 skill tier. It will give us access to the Faraday field, so that way when we have a deployed skill, we cannot be shocked or disrupted. We'll get access to the dismantling for that 12% bonus damage to inorganic materials and such. We get the linked laser pointer, which can be used to pulse targets on certain weapons. And the biggest one for this build is it is the only way we can get access to the Artificer Hive, which we will use to buff, to add an additional 71% bonus damage in this particular case. Now, that of course is subject to the diminishing returns we have when we stack all this damage, but still it is a huge buff and one of the main reasons we're able to one-shot any but the highest of armored agents. So, all right, next we will talk about the weapons. So, as always, use whatever weapon you prefer, whatever your favorite archetype is. If you have a favorite exotic, use it. For the maximum effect that I've gotten, I run with the capacitor. That is because it actually is the most effective way in case I do have an agent in front of me. If I'm in actual close quarter combat and the sniper is not really an option, this is going to get me the most weapon damage I'm able to get due to the actual talents of the capacitor. Now, as the secondary weapon, there's essentially three types of things I would use. I would either use the Surge, and this rifle will allow us to get the perfect spike, so this will buff our damage, and this is great because as long as you pop out of cover, if you're able to get that headshot right away, you can pop down and cover, and you have a significant time, a significant window to do that damage. It's not like in Sync or the capacitor where you got to constantly be popping out of cover and exposing yourself to that incoming damage. Now, the second type I would use would be like the Harmony or the Test Subject to get that perfect in sync. This can get us an almost instantaneous 40% bonus to weapon and skill damage with the perfect in sync. The Harmony is the rifle, the test subject is the AR. If you're running the capacitor, probably better off to use the Harmony just so you have a little longer range, and then the capacitor for short range. Totally up to you. And then the last thing that I go with, and what I primarily use in the PvE, is the mop. And I use this for the armor on kill, which helps with the survivability, and you can roll in sync on it, and so that way you're able to proc an easy 30% damage bonus to your weapons and your skills, as well as being able to maintain that armor on kill. So that's a great benefit just in the survivability, but still the mop is more of a PvE oriented weapon. Now the backup boomstick or the card TDI as our sidearm. Both of these I run with Future Perfect. It's not very often I get to proc it, but when I do, it's nice to have a free overcharge. All right, so now we got to talk about the gear. So with the introduction of the Ninja Bike, that changed things quite a bit, and it allowed us a little more variation. So since we're using the Ninja Bike, we only need to use 2 pieces of the Empress International for the skill health, the skill damage, and that skill efficiency. Skill efficiency for skill builds is the #1, and status effect builds even. Skill efficiency is the #1 trait you're looking for. Now, we can use 1 Hana-U, and that will get us the skill haste and the skill damage. And we can use 1 piece of Wyvern, which will net us the skill damage and the status effects. That does leave 1 extra piece available, and this is basically user's choice. I go with the Bellstone, for the bonus armor, because we have the amp, we get the extra skill tier, so it means we can use an armor or weapon core someplace. So I like to use the armor from the Bellstone. I like the armor per second and the armor on kill, so I don't need to be holding the mop, and if I am holding the mop, that means I'm getting 20% armor on kill, which is substantial. But a lot of you may choose to go with a piece that is weapon damage, Overlords for rifles, Petrovs for LMG, whatever you're going to do, you may choose to do that. I like the extra survivability. Again, the idea of this build is to one-shot in the Dark Zone. So, of course, we're going to want the core attribute to be skill tier on everything except for 1 piece, because we can get away with amped of not having that one. So skill tier everywhere for the most part. And then minor attributes. Of course, you want skill damage on all 5 of the high-end pieces. And then you can choose whether you want armor per second or skill haste. Skill haste is not a big of a deal because, and we'll cover this in a bit, but you're going to be putting up your turret, firing a shot, immediately taking it down, then putting it back up. That will mitigate pretty much all of the cooldown. So you can probably get away with using armor per second everywhere. And then that goes to the mods. In the mods, you can either, in my case, in PvE, you guys will notice I'm actually using crit hit chance. That's because I'm going to be firing my weapon a lot more. In the Dark Zone, I either go with skill haste to make sure that I can, even though you take the turret down and you should be able to put it right away, there is a small cooldown, so the skill haste can help to cut that down. You can also go with armor on kill in your mod slots. Alright, so now the main thing we're looking at, the skills, and as you guys can imagine by the name of the build, we are going to be using the sniper turret. So in this iteration of the build, we're going to have 16 shots. The turret will have a 14-second cooldown, which will be mitigated through our methodology. And we have a base damage of just over 3.2 million per shot. Now you guys will notice in PvP, our base damage, and this is base, is just over 1 million. So we do not have to do a whole lot when you consider the Artificer Hive and then any buffs that we're going to be getting from our weapon. It is very easy to kick this damage well up above 1.5 million. We're generally hitting for about 1.8 to 1.9 on the body shots. And so again, there's not a lot of people running around with over 2 million armor, simply because they're wanting that weapon damage in the Dark Zones. So that means most of the guys you see will be aiming for about 1.5 million from what I've seen. So this means as long as I can have the Artificer dropped, generally I do not even need to fire off my weapon. So that being said, let's talk about the Artificer. Alright, so the Artificer has 32 charges, gives us a buff of 71%, and is just a huge bonus overall. And when you're running with the team, well, they love you. They love you. This is actually just a really solid build to run with the team, even though I run mainly solo in the Dark Zone, just because, well, I don't have anybody to play with. You know, that Artificer Hive can really kick up the damage and the sustainability of your teammates as well. Now, one thing I will note is, depending on the situation you're in, you may elect to swap out the Artificer Hive. You may decide to do something like the Striker Drone if you want to send it out to just annoy the enemies, get them out of cover, fluster them. And your Striker Drone obviously will be doing substantial damage because we're spec'd into it. Now, you could also replace the Artificer Hive with either the Restorer Hive if you needed some healing for your team on the fly, or the Stinger Hive if, say, you're in a position and you know you could possibly get flanked. There's only maybe one point of entry, a bottleneck behind you. You could toss your Stinger Hive there to at least alert you to the presence of enemies there, if not outright kill them. And then one last thing that, I mean, there's tons of stuff you could do, but one last thing I would consider would be either the Crusader Shield or more than likely the Bulwark Shield. Because what you could do is set up the sniper, pop out with the Bulwark, and they are concentrating on you, really not paying attention to the sniper so much, and you could pop off 1 or 2 shots to get those kills while sitting behind the safety of your Bulwark Shield. Alright, so let's talk over gameplay and the basics of how you use this build. So stealth is key. Basically what you want to do in any engagement is you want to sneak on in there like a ninja. Hey, the ninja bike bag, go figure. You want to, if at all possible, find the most elevated position you can. Lots of advantages to that. The biggest one is the angle of attack for the sniper to make sure that you're able to hit your targets. So once you get into position, you're going to want to quickly find your target, place your Artificer Hive, and I like to get a free shot off. A lot of people may say, oh, you want to proc your weapon first. Sure, but I like to get that one free shot off. I pop the sniper and then immediately follow up with a shot. Then I grab the sniper down and then immediately put it back up. And what this should do is give you, depending on if you're in the Dark Zone, it seems to, that cooldown seems to be a little bit longer in the Dark Zone. I'm not sure why. But the point is, so it'll take about 1 to 3 seconds to get that turret back again. But usually it's only about 1 second. You're able to fire, take it down, put it up, fire, take it down, put it up, fire, take it down, which is about, you know, it's probably about 10% quicker than firing just over and over, and it helps to mitigate that cooldown. So I highly recommend that. So, and you just rinse and repeat this. You basically leave the Artificer out there, you pop the sniper up, take the shot, take it down, pop it up, fire, and in between, you know, feel free to proc whatever weapon perks you want to proc. So the advantage of this is just amazing burst damage. And it's there's very few things in the game that can do the kind of burst damage this can. Of course, there are different sorts of builds, niche builds, and things like that can do this. This is just one of those niche builds. The downside is this build is very, very squishy. So if you're caught unaware, if you're caught out in the open, if you're caught anywhere that you shouldn't be, you will get put down very, very quick. So that being said, this is more of a group PvE build. In PvE, you definitely want to be in a group, despite me running this in the background solo. And this is mainly a Dark Zone build, and I still think, while I use it solo, you really want to be using this in a group because you want to have somebody between you and the enemy. You want somebody to slow down the amount of time they have to close that distance for you to get off as many of the shots as you can. That being said, it takes almost nothing to put guys down. So as long as you have the advantage of initiative, a lot of the times you're going to be on top. So I think I covered everything in it. This is a fun build, and you know, it's I apologize. It's been a long time since I brought any actual Dark Zone builds in, and for the most part, except for running, you know, our standard Astrone build, which obviously it's pretty decent in the Dark Zone. The problem is you can get burst down real quick, just like with this. And the Astrone doesn't have the kind of burst damage that the Lee Harvey Oswald sniper build does. So that being said, let me know what you guys think. What do you think of this type of build? How do you feel about trying to run this sort of build? How would you feel about having to deal with this sort of build? Do you guys like these Dark Zone builds? What do you guys think of the new Manhunt stuff? Leave those comments down below. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoyed this, please smash that like button for me. Hopefully by now I've earned you guys subscription. Best thing you can do to help my channel, share this video. You guys be as safe as you need to be out there, and I will try to snipe you guys in the Dark Zone. Peace out, everybody. Oh shit, I'm throwing coffee everywhere. God damn. Alright, later guys.
How's it going? Come in, dipshit. Well, he's dead. Okay.